Hi, I'm Martin Felsen. Welcome to City Design, the channel where we explore how we shape cities and how cities shape us. Today's question is, are we living in a simulated reality? And if we are, does it even matter? Let's start by looking at simulated environments for animals, zoos. Like many people, you probably have fond memories of visiting zoos. And if you're like me, you might have experienced what's called the Captivity Paradox. The paradox describes a contradiction. Zoos aim to inspire appreciation for wildlife by exhibiting animals, but captivity itself often undermines animal welfare, natural behavior, and even our larger conservation goals. While Noah built a massive ark to preserve biodiversity, we've historically built tiny cages. Yet, zoos have evolved quite a bit. Early zoos were collections of cramped, sterile cages. Exotic and charismatic animals lived miserable lives solely for human entertainment. Over time, these cages became carefully designed dioramas, large panoramas with hidden moats and camouflaged barriers. These spaces provide more natural-looking environments for animals and visitors, reframing zoos from demonstrations of domination to narratives of benevolent protection. Today, many zoos have transformed into ecological parks. In these parks, free-roaming animals and people intermingle in expansive, naturalistic settings. These zoos range from zoological gardens, like the North Carolina Zoo, to large conservation areas like Yellowstone Park. Even cities are now planting millions of trees to create urban wildlife habitats. Here's the intriguing question. Does a captive animal realize it's living in a simulated environment? And if the animal is well cared for, does it even matter? And animals are not alone as inhabitants of artificially constructed worlds. We live in them too. In fact, the extent of our reality is increasingly debated. One idea under discussion is what philosophers refer to as the simulation hypothesis. The hypothesis suggests that our entire existence might be an advanced digital simulation. Like animals in a zoo, we may be conscious yet unaware captives within an artificially constructed reality, one designed by some higher intelligence. In fact, several philosophers now argue that it's statistically likely we're all living inside an elaborate simulation. As an urban designer, I'm particularly fascinated by this tension between how our cities appear and how they actually function. Much of what keeps our cities running is deliberately hidden, buried underground, camouflaged in obscure corners of neighborhoods, or concealed within the walls of our own homes. Yet we rarely stop to question if these built environments genuinely reflect a reality that we consider essential. Interestingly, neither animals nor people tend to deeply question the environments created for them. One compelling exploration of what happens when our environment is entirely fabricated can be found in the film The Truman Show. Truman Burbank unknowingly lives inside a television show. His entire existence, from friends and family to the town itself, is a meticulously simulated reality. Sea Haven, where Truman lives, is a full-scale diorama designed to evoke a perfect community. Front porches encourage neighborliness. The streets are filled with friendly people conspiring to hide Truman's detention. To us, the people watching the film, Sea Haven feels strangely artificial, like a movie set. Why? Partly because it defies the suburban reality we're accustomed to, which is dominated by cars, not pedestrians. Sea Haven's vibrant colors contrast sharply with the film's portrayal of the outside world, depicted as dull gray and rather lifeless. Truman's life is wholesome and idealized, embodying the American dream, but it's also heavily commercialized, echoing today's consumer-driven reality TV culture. Beneath Sea Haven's cheerful facade is an eerie truth. Truman's freedom and privacy are sacrificed for our entertainment. His life is captured and controlled by hidden cameras and an all-seeing film director. Ultimately, Truman recognizes his life as an illusion and resolves to escape, seeking authenticity beyond Sea Haven's carefully constructed boundaries. Before he leaves, Truman accepts that almost all of his previous beliefs about himself, his world, and the people around him are fabricated and inauthentic. But what exactly makes a community authentic? Initially, the filmmakers planned to set the Truman Show in Manhattan, but instead chose the town of Seaside, Florida. Seaside was built in the 90s as an experiment in traditional neighborhood design. Its walkable neighborhoods radiate from a lively central square lined with civic and commercial buildings. The designers aim to offer an alternative to suburban sprawl by emphasizing community interaction. Yet there's an inherent tension, an authenticity paradox, between designing a new community that feels genuine and inadvertently creating a staged replica of historic forms. Ironically, the more intentionally we try to build authenticity, the less authentic a place often feels. In Seaside, the paradox deepened as its popularity drove up the cost of moving in, limiting its accessibility and undermining the community's ideals of inclusivity and belonging. When asked about Sea Haven's artificial qualities, a character in the Truman Show says the town isn't fake, it's just controlled. Control is a trade-off when living in master-planned communities like Seaside. But boundaries, visible or invisible, can also inspire creativity. Urban designers do have the tools and the know-how to stimulate authentic community life. Perhaps we are all living inside fabricated simulations, kinds of zoos built not just for animals, but for ourselves. If that's true, then what matters most isn't whether our cities are artificial, but whether the simulations we build lead to genuine opportunity and personal connection. Like Truman stepping beyond Sea Haven, our challenge is to question the intangible walls around us and to shape our cities into places worth living in, real or otherwise. Thanks for watching City Design. If you're enjoying the episode, please like, subscribe, share, and support. See you next time.